Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Shazam from 2019. This DC superhero movie is written by Henry Gayden, who also wrote Earth to Echo, from a story by Gayden and also Darren Lemke, who wrote Gemini Man, Goosebumps and Jack the Giant Slayer. And it's directed by David F. Sandberg, who's mainly done horror movies, Annabelle Creation and Lights Out. The cast includes Zachary Levi, Mark Strong, Asher Angel, who plays Billy Batson, the lead character, who's a Disney Channel actor, Jack Dylan Grazer from It, and Djimon Hounsou from Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. Of course, Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel in the comics, so 2 films out last year that could have potentially had the same name were it not for a lawsuit. John Glover is also in this. He was, of course, Lex Luthor's father in Smallville, so this is his second DC Universe outing. So what is Shazam about? A newly fostered young boy in search of his mother instead finds unexpected superpowers and soon gains a powerful enemy. So that's right, essentially he has a superpower to change from a 14-year-old boy into a man who has multiple powers. This is one of the more family-friendly films with action in it, and tonally it's a little bit like the recent Spider-Man movies, because it's all set in the high school, and that's a bit of a departure for DC. A bit like Wonder Woman, although this is part of the DC universe that feels like quite its own thing. Very different from Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman, for example. Now, from the trailers, I knew this film was going to push the humour, and it did that a lot. As Orphan Billy starts to get to know his new family and integrates in a new school, there are some laughs to be had. But it's when he gets the power to turn into Zachary Levi's superhero that the real hijinks start. A lot of the funniest moments were actually in the trailer, but in lots of ways this feels like a superhero version of Big, and they do actually reference that movie in one scene. Watching someone learn to use their powers is great fun, and it took me back to the Heroes TV series. There's an additional element to it as he's learning all of this in a completely different body from his own too, which is another source of humour. The bond that grows between the 2 foster brothers helps give this movie bags of heart as well as bags of action, and Cooper Andrews, Jerry from Walking Dead, and Marta Milans as the foster parents make that even more apparent. The Philadelphia setting, although much of this film was shot in Toronto, means there are some Rocky references thrown in for good measure too. The fight scenes are good, and this film doesn't lack action. The only real misstep for me is Mark Strong's Dr. Sivana character. We see far too much of him at the start, which throws the balance of the film off. And he's become too synonymous with these movies. He was a villain in Green Lantern and in Kick-Ass before this, and he's almost become like the rent-a-villain for superhero movies. And it seems like he's in a much darker movie. And having the 7 deadly sins, such scary demons, they kill people, they bite their heads off. It makes the threat too big, and it makes it seem weird with a kid cast. It doesn't really fit together. It almost feels like it's been thrown together, and it was really off-putting compared to the trailer. Yes, films like Ghostbusters had dark elements in them back in the day alongside comedy, but not with kids in the main roles. At times, those scenes reminded me of the 90s Spawn movie. The logic of how the power Dr. Sivana has seemed to change scene to scene to suit the story too, which was a little bit of a drawback. So it's interesting. I really liked the trailer and I was really looking forward to this film, but those elements did kind of throw it off for me. Overall, I loved the funny parts, I liked the family moments, and the character growth is really well handled. But the moustache-twirling villain and the OTT killing spree made it a really odd combination of old bad superhero movies of the past and the best of the modern ones, which puts this film for me somewhere below the recent Spider-Man films. The film that looked so good in the trailer was only about half this movie in the end, so on that basis, I'm going to give Shazam 3 bags of action. Have you seen Shazam? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us via email, Facebook or Twitter. We have new episodes coming out regularly alongside our full-length podcast with my co-host. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel.